Right, everybody, how you doing? How you doing? I'm refreshed, feeling way better than I was the last time I did this podcast. So let me get this right the first time. This is autosave episode 12. Wow, it's been 12 episodes already. It's kind of crazy. I think 10 was a pretty big milestone, but now that we're in the double digits, we're really pumping these things out. I wonder if I should keep doing it weekly or do it bi-weekly. You guys give me a comment and let me know. But yeah, I'm glad to get these up and ready for you guys by Monday. But let me get into the agenda. I'm pretty sure you guys, and let me know if the music is too loud. You guys can hear the music because that's gonna play and roll to what we're talking about. If you're a JRPG fan, you know where this is coming from, but we'll get to that. So the agenda for autosave episode 12, I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2, a pre-order update and pricing update on that. I want to get a little bit into the Mario Kart Direct. I'm not gonna show it because it's a long direct. I'm gonna have the link in the description. If you guys want, go check it out, go watch it, but I'm not gonna show it. We are gonna talk about it though. I want to talk about a legendary JRPG that I don't feel like is getting enough attention, that just recently came out, and it is not from Square. And then I also want to talk about a movie I saw over the weekend, and then we're gonna get into our horror story. So let's go with, let's start with the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order update. So to get into the pre-order update, it looks like Nintendo from their official website has updated the date in which you can pre-order, on top of the pricing of some of the accessories. So this is the article, and it's directly from the Nintendo website themselves. So as you can see, I don't know if anybody remembers the old pricing. There was some pricing adjustments, but not to the console itself. So the console itself is still saying $449.99, with the bundle that has Mario Kart World being at $499.99. So for $50 more, you can get the game alongside it, which is of course the better deal, considering the game is $80. So, but the pre-order date was moved up. So the pre-order date went from May 8th to 4/24, so April 24th. So if you haven't set your pre-orders, if you were sad about setting your pre-orders here in America because you had to do it at a later date, it was moved up. Now that I guess they adjust the pricing on some of the accessories due to the tariffs. So the only pricing changes that happened was with the Switch 2 accessories. What do I mean by that? So it looks like, for example, if you're looking at the list here that is shown, so it looks like the Nintendo Switch 2 went from, not the Nintendo Switch 2, the Joy-Cons went from $90 to $95. The Pro Controller went from, I think, $80 to $85. The camera went up by $5. The dock went up by $5, etc. As you can see, it's basically all the accessory prices went up by $5. Now, I know that might not seem like much right now, but if you total in the price, if you're gonna buy the entire console with all the accessories, if you're one of those, I gotta have multiple accessories for when friends come over, etc., you're gonna be spending over $1,000. It's basically like you're buying a GPU that's all put together without the other parts. The price increase, to be honest, is not surprising. I'm sure everybody saw this coming, especially with the state of the politics here in America. Now, if you live in America, I'm pretty sure you saw this coming with the tariffs imposed by President Trump. But, even with the pricing update on the accessories and the pre-orders moved, I know there's still going to be solid hardcore fans that buy the console. But I know this, for the general audience, the people who they don't already have their buy-in, which these companies want to get their buy-in, they're not going. I'm pretty sure this is going to deter them from picking up the console. Let's look at Mario Kart World, for example, right? And I know this was a marketing ploy by Nintendo. Mario Kart World right now is $80 standalone. That's without tax. So you're going to be paying $85 for that game. But if you buy it with the Switch 2 bundle, you only pay $50. Now, I don't know why with the bundle it would be $50. I guess because you're paying already $449.99, but the game by itself is $80, I mean, it's almost like they're trying to force you to buy that bundle. So, you know, I kind of see what Nintendo is doing, but do I think it's right? I mean, I don't know. You gotta sell things the way you gotta sell them, right, to get people to buy. But it does feel like they're kind of forcing that bundle down your throat. But speaking about Mario Kart, that is gonna segue into our next topic. So I know I already said that I'm not gonna be showing the video, which I won't. But the direct that happened a couple of weeks ago was supposed to justify the price of the game, and I'm not sure if I talked. Tell me if I talked about this already, but I had some further thoughts on the Switch 2 Mario Kart Direct, and rewatching it and hearing Nintendo's comments on how the $80, especially Nintendo President of America Doug Bowser, how the game was supposed to justify the $80 price tag, how with all the content that was built into it, with all the expansion that was built into it, with all the everything in it, is supposed to justify that $80, right, etc. Me watching it, it didn't feel that way, right? So I watched it, and I'm not sure how it justified the price tag. And honestly, it just looked like a full game, which with the advent of DLC that we saw during the PS3 360 era, we have not seen a full game in total in a while. But that's honestly what it looked like. It looked like a full game, you know, with a full roster based on the characters that should have be in the game, with a console like this that should be able to handle a large amount of assets, right? Considering that people are comparing it, I think I said 3080 before. It's not really a 3080. I heard it's more like a 3060, 3050. But considering you're using that kind of hardware, you should be able to handle, you know, having a lot of assets in it. You know, what it really feels like to me that they did with this was they took, because I seen the character select screen, and if anybody's watched like any bits on it, whether it been from the Switch 2 Direct or the Mario Kart World Direct, it seemed like they added, like, there's like pages of characters and like different costumes and like cool collectibles, right? What it really tells me is that they took what they would have done for DLC and they put it all in the base game, and they're like, all right, now the game is $80. No, I think this is wrong on Nintendo's part. And I know, like I said earlier, it's probably a marketing ploy to sell the bundle, but you're releasing a full game. Years ago, this would have been a complete game with no DLC. So the fact that you thought a couple of Peach coins, you know, a lot of costumes and stuff justified the price tag, I don't know if it did. And I think that Doug Bowser inadvertently, I don't think he did it on purpose, set a level of expectations for this game that what they showed didn't really cash in. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's more to see, but right now, I don't know if it justifies that $80 price tag. And again, I'm afraid with Mario Kart World being $80. Because here's my thing, right? If people buy that game, right, they buy the console and they buy that game, right, not the bundle, separately, and they get large amount of purchases off of Mario Kart, which they will, for $80, right? Because it's Mario Kart, so people will buy Mario Kart, right? It's gonna set a precedent to justify that $80 price tag. And I know I talked about this ad hoc over and over again, but that is scary, because then going forward, games are gonna be $80, and in a couple years it'll be $90, then it'll be $100. You gotta make a stand somewhere. But here's the tough part, right? When you talk about Nintendo, right? Nintendo does not budge on their pricing, like, at all. So, and anybody who knows, who's like played Nintendo games or console, they never really have sales. So, I mean, I don't know, and it's a scary time we live in, and I just hope that this doesn't become the norm. It doesn't become set a standard from other companies, because Nintendo sets a lot of the foundation for what a lot of the games and stuff that we have to this day. Like Mario 64 basically created the 3D genre. Super Mario basically created the platformer genre. Like, and so they're almost like a parent to a lot of these other companies. video game companies like a Sony, a Microsoft, right? And if they see that this is okay, that fans are willing to pay this much, it's gonna be like a whole 2020 situation era where people were buying GPUs and other computer parts for crazy amount of money, and now they just won't budge and go down, and now you got to pay $2,000 to get a high-end GPU if you're into PC gaming. So I don't know, I just getting like PTSD from past experiences, and I just hope that this doesn't become the standard. But let me know what you think in the comments, and I will have the Switch 2 Mario Kart Direct in the comments. So I'm gonna get into the next topic, and I want to talk about a legendary JRPG. Let me actually restart the track for this. This is Lunar Silver Star Story Complete and Lunar Eternal Blue, the Lunar Remastered collection, coming to Switch, PS4, and I think Xbox One or Series X, on the Nintendo Switch, not even Xbox One. This is a legendary and amazing JRPG. If you have not played this before, I suggest picking this up. This is super nostalgic for me. It has some of the best tracks. What you're hearing right now is the battle track. It has a great interacting story between, you know, all the characters and all these different relationships that go on. So I want to actually show the trailer, because I don't think that this game is getting enough attention. As we watch the trailer, I am going to talk over it a little bit. If you love JRPGs, you should definitely check this game out, right? I'm going to be playing this game during my time off. I have an upcoming wrist surgery to remove, nothing super major, but it's going to remove some cysts that could potentially be a problem. So I'm going to have a few days off, and I'm going to be streaming this. So I'm hoping to complete the JRPG I'm currently playing so that I can get on these games. But it is a great pickup. You get two amazing games with a lot of content for, you know, I think it's only $49.99, you know, what games should be. And it has, like I said, it has a great soundtrack, great relationships between characters, and I would love to see this supported, because I love when they re-release JRPGs, especially ones that don't get a lot of attention, which I don't see this popping up anywhere, you know. So I want this to be successful, so if you can, pick it up, and let's keep watching the trailer. Hey, Alex, the Dragon Master. Man, when I say that this game has like one of the most beautiful soundtracks ever, I promise you, I am not setting unrealistic expectations. It is amazing. I'm gonna have the link to the trailer in the description, like I always say, and yeah, check it out. Now I want to get into some horror stuff before we get into our horror story for the week. If you guys have not, I don't usually talk about movies. I haven't talked about movies on this pod in a bit, but if you guys have not checked it out, I would say go watch the movie Sinister with Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld or Stenfield, one of the two. I don't remember her last name. And Ryan Coogler, who directed it. If you guys know, if you've seen Black Panther, he directed Black Panther. The movie was amazing. It was the first non-comic book movie that I haven't seen in a while that I really liked. You know, it was a horror story with just a great story. Like, you could remove the horror elements from it and it would still be a good movie. It was, and it didn't even feel that long. That's how you know a movie is good. Like, when you watch it and you don't feel the time pass by, even though a lot of time passed by. I think the movie started at 7. We didn't leave till like 9:30, so it was a pretty long movie. But I didn't feel it because the movie was so good. So I highly recommend this movie. I don't want to say any spoilers, for the movie, but I just wanted to give this movie a shout out because people should definitely go check it out. It's well worth the watch. I think that you know, especially with movies, you know, kind of going downhill in terms of like the comic book genre, like not movies going downhill, but the comic book genre movies, like just suffering overall. You know, I'm really hoping Superman turns that around, even Fantastic Four, but this was a breath of fresh air. And I honestly think that this is something that James Gunn had been talking about in the past. Somebody had asked him before, like, do you believe in superhero fatigue for movies, right? And in some instance, I personally do believe in superhero fatigue with some people. If you're not into that, you will, like, and you're just into like the movie genre, you may gain some fatigue from it if it's not your world, right? But I think he made a great comment where he said that no, the problem is people aren't just writing good stories. What people are doing is it's become almost like a let's say you have an amazing product, right? Let's say I have this Easter egg, right? And this Easter egg is an amazing product. People love this Easter egg, right? But instead of improving upon it, or instead of doing this Easter egg justice with the same quality, I take this Easter egg, and because it's cheaper, I replace it with parts that look similar but are not of the same quality. You get what I'm saying? So I'm just copy and pasting a formula because it's printing money for me, but it's not of the same quality as that original Easter egg I built. I don't know if you guys understood my analogy, but that's what I felt like has been happening, and it's been driving away audiences. So I really hope Superman turns that around. I believe in James Gunn, especially with the trailer that we saw, and I heard there's a new trailer coming, and you know, with the Fantastic Four, I'm really hoping that we get a you know, a resurgence, you know, because I was talking to my friend the other day about this, and he's like an anime savant, and I think I've told you guys before, and he was talking about how like certain anime are not getting the love they deserve, right? And to some degree, I told him I agree with it, right? I agree with what you're saying, but you got to understand that the niche group that love that genre, those companies know that they have their buy-in. The problem is that you need to get the buy-in of the general audience, of everybody who's not in that niche. So their job is not to sell to the people in the niche, it's to sell to the people outside of the niche. And if you're unable to do that, then it's not you know, there's something that you have to fix in your formula because it's not working. Like, I use my wife as an example. My wife does not like anime, right? But I try to get her to watch certain animes with me. But I know that if I can get her to watch an anime, I know it's good, right? I know that that anime is good because she wants to watch it, you know? For example, my wife was not into comic book stuff, but I got her to watch some of the MCU movies, and then she got into the comic book genre, her and her brothers. And I got them into like Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Image Comics, Dark Horse Comics, etc. Right? It's the same thing, you know, with anything else. And I think that's the problem that's happening with superhero movies right now, right? Especially Marvel in particular, because they're being treated as a product to print money. It's like they're doing quantity over quality, and they need to get back to the quality, right? A story should be written before the movie is being worked on, period. Because now you're basically the blind leading the blind. And I think that's why I love James Gunn's new approach of, unless the script is written, we're not moving forward with the movie. But, you know, all that being said, go watch Sinister. Go check it out. Ryan Coogler did his thing, directing this movie. Michael B. Jordan acted his butt off. Haley Steinfeld acted her butt off. All the characters, they did their things. Go check it out. Now, last and not least, we're going to get into the horror story of the week. You guys know what this is about. You got to tell me if it's real or not, if it's part of my crazy, spooky imagination, or did this story really happen? Alright guys, let's get into it. Okay, so this begins with the murder of a pastor and a choir singer on makeshift Lover's Lane. They said that this shocked a small town up in New Brunswick. The year was 1922. There was a minister by the name of Edward Hall. They said he was having an affair with a member from his very own congregation. In September, the two left their respective family homes to once again meet. When Hall didn't return home that night, his wife Frances and one of his brother-in-laws began a search. But neither Hall nor Mills was found until 2 days later, when another couple walking Lover's Lane found their bodies under a crab apple tree. Hall had been shot once to the head, but Mills' body had been brutalized. She had been shot in the face 3 times. Her throat had been slashed so deeply that she had nearly been decapitated. Later, an autopsy revealed that her tongue and larynx had been cut out. After they were killed, the couple's bodies had been arranged in a near embrace. The case was personal. The affair had apparently been common knowledge. Both spouses said they were in the dark. Investigators saw this as highly suspicious. Francis, the brothers, all of them were considered prime suspects. Try as they might, the prosecutors could find no evidence to convict the siblings or the spouses. Witness statements kept on changing. Everything was being influenced by the press coverage that there were attention seekers. As a result of all the different pieces that were moving around that affected the evidence, Edward and Eleanor's murders were never solved. Alright guys, you guys tell me if this story is real or if this is a part of my imagination. Let me know and you'll find out next week. If you guys liked the story, if you liked everything we talked about, you know the deal. You don't have to save it. Guess what? This is autosave episode 12. I'm going to do that for you. Just make sure you save that bell when you click it. And you like, share, and subscribe. You tell your friends about it. And we can keep this train rolling. And I could try to have somebody on. I don't know. A buddy. If anybody wants to come on, just let me know. And we'll set it up and we can talk. But, you know, I record these things late at night. Either way, like, share, and subscribe. This is autosave episode 12. Love y'all. Peace. Have a good night.